Welcome back, all you Fabricans and Fleshbags, to the super, not funny show, Supercast. The Supercast where we talk about all things superheroes in the pop culture space, and that's movies, TV shows, um, cartoons, all that fun stuff, video games, anything like that, and news and speculation. We just love talking about superheroes here. Of course, I am Mole Poupée, your resident fabricant and commenter extraordinaire on all things pop culture, and I am joined by the video game designer, the anime expert, and of course, lover of all things superhero, my good friend Ladi. Ladi, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, man. I'm ready to talk about some of this news and this season finale of What If.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about, for our main topic for this week, the final installment in season one of Marvel's What If. And we're calling it Multiverse Avengers Assemble. And we're going to say it much louder than Cap did in Avengers Endgame. So you can actually hear us
Yeah.
say it. Um, but it was the capper to what I would call a very successful season of a new show from Disney Plus and for Marvel's first animated outing. So I'm really looking forward to talking about that. But as always, we want to first jump into news, and we got a ton of news this week. So many things happening with superheroes and pop culture. So just let's strap in and get ready to barrel down this highway. But we're gonna first talk about Venom kicking ass at the theaters, making I guess an impact around the world. We're gonna talk about Eternals getting rated 18 plus in Russia, for a stupid ass reason, I might add. We are also going to talk about Marvel and specifically, Disney and Marvel not paying writers what they're supposed to, what they're owed contractually. We're going to touch on a subject that's really prickly to us, and also that we've sort of been following. Zoe Kravitz, she kind of talks about being the new Catwoman and how she's kind of made sure that there's a little bit more of a realistic look at Selena Kyle. Letitia Wright running her mouth about about stuff, and could it impact her role as Shuri and in the MCU? There is a rumor about the cast of Daredevil in relation to a potential Disney Plus showing. There's also some leaked concept art that suggests some very interesting things involving Ultron Sentry bots and the Multiverse of Madness. So that's a ton of stuff to tackle. We're gonna jump right into it right now. All right, Lottie. Um, I don't know if you heard about this, but there's a certain symbiote related movie that hit the theaters, and it's kind of doing all right. It's doing okay. I don't know. Have you heard the final numbers that they have for Venom? Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Yeah, I saw some of it. I didn't see all of it.
Yes. Well, the first weekend. So this opening weekend. So it's the number one box office in opening weekend this year, the pandemic year, and at $90 million, $90.1 million for the 3 day weekend, or the 3 day, they count for the weekend. And as of today, $128 million worldwide. So, basically, within its first 7 days, it's made $128 million. So I gather it's pretty close to its budget, like the budget now. And this suggests that it's probably going to be into profitability probably within the next couple weeks. Probably actually, if it's has legs like Shang-Chi, it probably will hit 200 million, 200 plus million over the weekend. So this is huge, huge news. Good news for the industry in general. Good news for comic book movies. Just good news for any big tentpole movie, and just all around a great showing. It's kind of an indication that people are ready to get back to the theater. So I don't know, Lottie, you heard about all this. Are you surprised? And whether or not you were surprised, what do you think? What do you think this means for the rest of the comic book stuff that's coming out at the end of the year?
Oh yeah, this is proof of concept now that people are willing to go back to the movie theaters and watch movies again, especially when it's a character as beloved as Venom. Who doesn't love Venom? I mean, especially after the first movie. But yeah, this is definitely a good sign that comic book superhero movies are going to start doing well in the movie theaters. Along with Shang-Chi, that you know they don't have to be afraid to release their movies anymore.
Yeah, but Lottie, people keep saying that there's superhero fatigue and no one wants to watch this stuff anymore. Are you saying these people might be wrong, yet again?
Extremely wrong.
I hear this all the time, and I'm like, who are these people that are tired of watching superheroes beat each other up? I don't know any of these people. Like, who? I'm just curious. Like, why do people think this is true? Um, 90 and now let's keep in mind it's a pandemic year. $90 million isn't that great when it comes to superhero movies, but let's also understand that that is better than Venom 1 got in its first weekend.
Hmm.
So it's nothing to sneeze at, considering everything that's going on. That's a pretty big number. Um, Especially considering I think that there's a lot of people that were like, "This is better than the first one." I don't think that that's true. In my personal opinion, I like the first one better. There's some things that I don't think are that great about the movie, but I mean, generally speaking, it's an easy enough movie for people to digest, and you understand what's going on. There's a lot of funny things in it, and then there's that post credit scene that's really big. So not surprised. I have a feeling. Um, I have a feeling it's going to continue to do well. My question is will the No Time to Die, which was released today, is it going to affect the box office for it? Because Shang-Chi kicked ass because nothing else was out. And well, in part, it's a great movie, but also there's nothing else that could really compete with it. This might have some competition, so I think we'll keep an eye on it and see where it comes out next weekend. Lottie, did you now? I know you were looking forward to Eternals, but did you know that in Russia, I mean in Russia, they rated it 18 plus, and which 18 plus is basically rated R. That's what it is. It's what the equivalent rating is. So it's rated R. Now you think about Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. Can you think of anyone that gets anywhere close to an R rating?
No.
Like even like not even like no, and when people get shot, they don't. There's no blood and like all this other stuff. You never a boob. People barely kiss or anything like that. So, but would it surprise you to know? Well, let's just say this is essentially because there's a gay couple is in the movie. One of the main one of the Eternals has a family, and they're a gay couple, and that's really it. To my knowledge, there is no actual sexual anything, no blood, no none of that. All of the fighting's between people who don't really bleed. It's all that stuff. And so Venom, Let There Be Carnage gets the lower rating, despite the fact that there's a symbiote literally killing people and biting their heads off. But this one gets rated 18 plus because there's there's a gay couple in there that are happily married. Um, I don't know if you hear the tone in my voice as to know what I think about that, but Lottie, you hear that? What's going on with Russia?
So here's my thing with it. I find it dumb that they do it, but at the same time, I sort of understand. Not Russia, some other countries, because there are other countries where they take religion extremely seriously and put it inside of their as part of their government. It is dumb that this movie is being rated M. I mean, rated R basically because of a homosexual couple. But one thing that I can say, at least they didn't cancel the movie or have it that you cannot watch it. Because remember, we talked about this earlier. That was it. This movie that might not get seen in Russia.
Not in Russia, but in China. It was
It was in
Shang-Chi.
China.
It was
Okay.
Shang-Chi because Simu Liu had said some. He just said some things that didn't paint China in a great light.
Yeah.
He was, essentially repeating things that his parents told him about. You get what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
and incidentally, this may also be a reason why it may not get shown. Well, Eternals isn't going to show in China because of the director. The director has some very pointed things to say about China because she is of Chinese descent.
Yeah.
That said, this part also probably would keep it from getting, the lower rating also in China, because it's all about cultural conservatism. Let's just call it what
Yeah.
it is: cultural conservatism. And culturally conservative countries are not tolerant of people who aren't, straight. Basically, they'd rather straight people. They'd rather, gay people. LGBTQ people pretend not to be there, or so that they can pretend that they're not there. But that is not the way Hollywood works.
But
That
honestly, that is kind of like a huge part of BS because especially in Chinese culture, there are a lot of homosexual Chinese heroes.
What are they out though? See that's the thing. There's
No, I'm talking
there.
about like in their stories, they were openly homosexual and they're like idolized in Chinese history, but they don't want their. That's why I was like, it's a bunch. Like it's kind of like in Japan, how Japan is sort of like we don't like homosexuals, but you have you have a lot of anime and a lot of other things showing homosexual stuff, but you don't want people being homosexual.
Mhm.
Homosexuality sells in your culture, but you don't want people to be. It's sort of like that's why I said it's like a bunch of BS because, like I said, there's a lot of Chinese heroes that are like, in to be the what was it the Chinese emperor's soldier, you had to be gay. You either had to be gay or chop off your penis. I'm not lying to you. Dead
A
ass.
eunuch.
Yeah, you to be the Chinese emperor, what's it called? Protector. You either had to be gay or chop off your penis. Not lying. You had to either be one of the two. So that's why it's like the people who protected the Chinese emperor was gay or gay. So why do you hate gays? You know what I mean? It's like it's stupid.
It's Yeah. I mean, like essentially, like I said, it boils down to and Russia. They've been leaning culturally conservative for a really long time, with their Putin and all his whole group of people that run the place. They are leaning very hard into that. They have a very strong, like, nationalism. There's a lot of, let's just say, there's a lot of not good culturally shit going on in Russia.
Hmm.
Um, they are not, I don't think they're a huge box office area, so I don't know that this is going to have a giant effect on the box office of Eternals. But it just kind of goes to show that, not everywhere in the world's not ready for what Hollywood is putting out. But I have to be honest. There are a lot of people that will point to this and be like, "See, that's why we don't need to be doing all this inclusive stuff." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, but Hollywood's perpetrated a lot of bullshit, horrible things, stereotypes that still dog lots of people to this day. Black people, stereotypes about black people in other countries are because of Hollywood. Stereotypes about, Asian people, stereotypes about women. perpetrated for decades upon decades. So, let's do this. Like, let's just rub people's fucking noses in this stuff. Y'all, these people exist, and they're not boogeymen, and they're not freaking pariahs or anything. They just exist. This is literally a guy who's been protecting the earth for millennia, and he just happens to have a husband and a son. So, like, fuck off. I'm
Yeah.
really just like, you know, as they say uh, on the internet, uh, die mad about it. That's what I feel about it. So fuck
Yeah.
Russia. That's I would say Russians who are 18 plus, go see it if you want to. If seeing a gay man be happy and not, you know, yeah, suffering or whatever the hell, if that bothers you too much, then fuck off. We don't need you. That's what I say. Eternals are going to be awesome anyway, whether or not you get to see it. So anyway, Russia, get it together. How about that? Get your shit together. Be better.
Yep.
Um, did want to talk about some DC stuff. Again, this is the Marvel Shieldcast, but we do occasionally dip our toe into the DC side of things whenever they have any actual news. So, the Batman is coming up soon. Not this year; it's coming out next year. But we are starting to hear more about it, a little more behind the scenes stuff. So Zoe Kravitz she is Catwoman. She's playing Catwoman in this. Zoe Kravitz, incidentally, she's already been in a comic book thing before. You remember she was in X-Men, not Days of Future Past. Not Apocalypse. She was the one where she had the fairy wings. I think her name's like Pixie, is I believe her name. So she had like fairy wings or whatever. Though I think it was Days of
Oh,
Future Past.
Angel.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was in Days of Future Past, the one with both teams of X Men. And
Hmm.
so, but she is going to be Catwoman in the Batman, playing opposite of Robert Pattinson. And she was talking in an interview about collaborating with Matt Reeves and working with Robert Pattinson and how she kind of got the role of Catwoman. But one of the things she was saying when she was kind of praising Matt Reeves about how he approaches storytelling and directing was about how much input she got to have into the presentation of her character, which is, let me say, not many. There's some directors are just like, this is what's in the script, and I need you to be that person, and some are just like, you know what? Well, what do you think about this? And so apparently she got to, as she says, deal with kind of what she sees as the fetishization and sexualization of Selena Kyle, and to try to round off some of that, I guess, to make it a bit more real about, as she said, how a woman would actually look at the character and present. If she were a real woman, how would she try to present herself? Which I think brings about an interesting conversation, which is, you know, what does that mean when it comes to a character who has been explicitly about over the top sex appeal and showing off, and she's literally like a cat woman, so she moves around like a cat and all that stuff. What does that mean for her to say that she's influenced the writing or influenced the way the character is presented to sort of soften some of that up? And I don't know, what do you think, Lottie?
I'm seeing some like renders of her suit. And I don't care what she says. She still looks sexy in that suit. There's nothing she can do. She still looks sexy.
Well,
But
I think she's getting at like the more what would you call it? The more overt a guy is writing this comic book, so she's acting a certain way,
oh yes.
sort of a characterization of Selena Kyle.
So I'm gonna say this right now. Huge fan of Catwoman. I love Catwoman. I love her. And I can say there are two different types of Catwoman. There's a crazy like kind of psychedelic, like the crazy Catwoman that we saw in the original Batman series. And then there's the over sexualized one that started off with Holly Berry, and then we got started seeing more and more sexualized Catwoman. And I'll say this, is me who I have a character that is a female character, and she, I don't want her to be over sexualized. But at the same time, when you are a fit woman, you are going to look, unless you are like extremely muscular, which we know Catwoman is not. If they made Catwoman extremely muscular, no, this is where all the raging nerds that are like this is comic book inaccurate, I will be behind them. No, Catwoman is not supposed to look like She-Hulk out there. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you are a woman and you're playing and the character you are playing is not supposed to be this muscle bound character and you're a hero, you are going to look sexy regardless, because unless you are wearing full plated armor or like in an Iron Man suit, you're going to look good because you're fit. It's like the same thing. We don't look at, like, great example, we're men, we don't look at Captain America sexualized, but I know a lot of women that they'd be like, "Oh my God, oh Chris Evans!" Like they getting hot and bothered in the movie theater, and he's wearing armor. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's fan service because he's a fit man. This is where I feel like sometimes when I hear like women and other like things in video game and comic books, when I hear them talk about over sexualizing women, I always say, don't make the women ugly now. Because I feel like it's like now they want to make the female characters ugly. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, no, if she is fit, it's sort of like the same thing that's going on with there are a lot of women upset that in the new Horizon Forbidden West that's coming out, that Aloy looks quote unquote sexy now. Well, in the first game, Aloy was only 15. She's 20 something now. She's fit. What do you think's gonna happen? She's going to look good. You know what I mean? Her face may not be, a model's face, but her body's going to look like a Greek goddess because
Right.
she's fit. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
she's not overly muscular. She's going to look good. And that's where I just feel like when I hear these women, I'm not saying her, but when I hear like a women in comic book, some of these female writers, some of these stuff, when they talk about over sexualizing women, I always say, be careful now. Don't go here and make an ugly character because that's not going to sell either.
Oh,
Captain
yeah.
America's not ugly. You know what I mean? Iron Man is not ugly. You know what I mean?
Well,
Don't go out here. Huh?
yeah.
Go
Well,
ahead.
no, I was gonna say I think that there's a case to be made for having regular looking people. Like
Yeah,
it's
regular,
like
yes.
I mean like a just normal looking person. It's like it's hard to believe that everyone that has superpowers is also, you know, a 7, 8, 9, 10 out of 10. It's hard to believe that every one of them is like that. There's got to be some regular looking people that get superpowers, but I mean, I think for the most part, I understand what she because every time I've seen Catwoman, they really kind of you know they really kind of make a big deal out of what she's wearing or how she's slinking about or whatever. And I get it that that could be used to disarm men and all that other stuff. I understand that, but I also think that there's a line you cross where it stops being about in service to the character and then it's just in service to the men and and the women that want to see a hypersexualized woman in a cat suit.
Yeah.
This is a problem that is not just in superheroes are bad about it because a lot of the costumes are don't make any damn sense. A lot of female costumes make zero sense because
Yeah.
of what they actually have to go through. And similar things go through all of sci-fi and everything. Star Trek has had a particular bad problem with hypersexualizing female characters for no reason except for the male nerd gaze.
Yeah.
So I get all of that, and in my opinion, okay, this is her. First of all, this is her Catwoman. So if Matt Reeves says, "I want your input on how to present this character," then okay, fine. This is her
Mhm.
Catwoman. She gets to have some say into it, and if she wants to make this Catwoman a little less like in the comic, then that's fine. Because let me just say, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman is not exactly like in the comic either, and
Yeah.
neither was Anne Hathaway's. And I like both of those Catwomen. I did not care for the Halle Berry one because that was barely Catwoman. But you get what I'm saying? Like everyone gets to have their stamp put on it. And if in her mind, and here's a better thing, she's an outsider to comics. When she got this role, she did the research and looked at it all, and she's like, "Hey, what's up with this?" And so she's got an outsider's perspective on it that you and I don't have because you and I have been steeped in this stuff for a long time. And so
Hmm.
I kind of want to see what a non comics fan that discovers the character and researches it and just like, what is this? And decides to put a different spin on it. I want to see that. I I think us nerds we get stuck in wanting to see exactly what we've seen before, and what the fuck's the point of that?
Yeah.
I'm not watching these movies to watch the same damn shit I've already seen before. Why would I want to do that? So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I completely agree with you. Like, that's why I said, like, when it comes to like Catwoman, we know she's not going to wear anything bulky. We all know that because she's a burglar and she has to be swift. So she's going to wear a skin tight suit. But at the same time, there's ways that you can make it to where it's not overly sexualized. Like, this is where, because I completely agree with you about if you have superpowers, you don't have to be in absolute great shape. You don't have to like for example, if Thor was a woman, that female Thor can be fat because Thor is just really powerful. Plus, we all know the actual true Thor, the Thor that is from Norse mythology, actually is fat. He's not muscular and has a six pack. He's actually got a big gut. But the thing about it is when you have characters like Catwoman or that don't have powers, they have to sort of be fit because it wouldn't make sense to see an average woman that looks like she doesn't go to the gym is out here scaling buildings. We'll be
right.
like, it just wouldn't make sense. She has to look like somebody that never like how we always say she looks like they never skip leg day. Literally, Catwoman needs to look like a woman that doesn't skip leg day. You know what I mean? When
Right.
she is crouched down in her stance, her thighs should be bulging. You
She's
know
gonna
what I
she's
mean?
gonna be doing uh, the Black Widow stance. That's
Yeah.
she's the originator of that
Yeah.
landing.
Yep.
So, well, you know what? I think we're gonna get to see what it's all about, especially because I do believe we're gonna be seeing a trailer soon
Yeah.
on the 16th. So we'll see what that's all about. I'm looking forward to it. I think it should still be good, even if she's not like, just like showing her ass to the camera all the time. So.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of things that are coming up next year, and actually coming out sooner than Wakanda Forever, there was some supposedly leaked concept art for Multiverse of Madness, and let me just say, it was pretty juicy. It's some juicy stuff if it's real. It also, for real, looks like some shit that some guy on the internet made. So, let's take it with a whole shaker of salt, whether or
Yeah.
not this is
I'll
real.
take it. I'm going with a jar, my friend.
But what the picture is well, there's the rumor was, oh, there's going to be some Ultron bots, Sentry bots that are going to be encountered by Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is in the multiverse and all this stuff. He's going in a different universe. He's going to encounter Ultron bots, and I mean, come on, that's a pretty mundane, bit of insider information. I mean, sure, I could buy it, right? I could buy that. But then we saw this picture of Ultron bots holding, Doctor Strange, who's has got his wrist tied, and then leading him to Professor X. So, so everyone's been clamoring to be like, when are they going to introduce the mutants? They got when the X-Men, when are the X-Men? And I can't lie, there's been plenty of speculation about that swirling around the multiverse of madness and how are they going to introduce mutants. And Wanda's in there, so clearly they're going to introduce all that stuff. So this has just enough, just barely enough to be maybe plausible. Let's say it is plausible. Let's say this is close, likely to be true. All right, Ladi, you saw that picture. What do you think? What do you think? What's your excitement level? What's your interest level in if this is true? This being the thing that happens.
Honestly, I won't say I'm excited because I kind of know that this is going to happen eventually. It's sort of like it's one of those things that is like, okay, we know they're going to eventually put the X-Men in here. This is not something that is not known. But what if this is true? The hell is Charles Xavier doing with fucking Century bots? I mean, is he Onslaught in this universe or some shit?
Oh man, come on, don't start. Don't
It's
start.
like, because why does he have robots working for him? Because
Yeah.
it has to be. He has to be Onslaught. He
But
has to
but
be.
you saw he was in his damn wheelchair for some
Yeah,
reason.
but he could be in his non-battle mode. You know, that wheelchair might transform into Onslaught armor. Who knows?
I think it's just crazy. Look, this is the way us nerds.
And it looks
Yeah,
futuristic too.
yeah. I think the thing is, us nerds, boy, we latch on to anything. We'll attach to anything that sounds good. And what sounds good right now is, damn it, Marvel, y'all bought Fox like 3 years ago. Where's my X-Men in the MCU?
Yep.
That's where we're trying to reach for. It looks fake as shit though. And I
Yeah, it
know
looks.
I
Yeah,
know a lot. The thing is, a lot of previs looks fake. It's meant to sort of give the cinematographer is meant to give them a general idea of how they want to work that particular scene, or if there's a lot of CG, where the CG will be when they shoot it. So I get why it looks fake as hell. I'm curious as to why. Well, yet again, it's like Mephisto and everything nowadays too. Everything's got to be either the X-Men are showing up or Mephisto is showing up, and I'm just like, there's no reason for it. I guess is my thing. There's no I mean, it's just as good a reason as anything to bring the X-Men in, but it feels a little like a hack to kind of throw them in. Why introduce yet another set of characters into a movie that's already going to have a bunch of characters anyway? So I'm not against it. I'm just like, I don't know that I buy this. I need a little bit more. Like I need a casting sheet to show and prove this. But I mean, it would be cool, I guess. I mean, why not? And maybe they'll square up what Wanda and Pietro really were, but it seems weird to have to go across the multiverse to prove that they're mutants already. So I don't
yeah.
know. I'm not sure, but I mean, we'll see. We will see. I think since it's coming out, I think it's coming out in March. So we got like 5 months to go, and we'll probably learn a little more before then. If we're gonna stay on the rumor mill, again, we've been talking recently about Charlie Cox and Spider Man and all this other stuff, but we have not been talking about a rumor that I actually sort of heard a while ago when they were talking about Hawkeye and when they cast a new character in the Hawkeye show. An actress named Alakwa, I think I'm saying Alakwa Cox, who is hearing impaired, and she's playing a character whose name is Echo, who is a character that was created probably about 10 years ago in the comics, in Daredevil, and basically think Daredevil, but instead of with you know great hearing, but instead can actually see, and they can't hear, but they can see. Um, and also an ass kicker. And so this character was created, and then they cast her into the show, and then it sort of led to like if that's a Daredevil character. So if y'all bringing a Daredevil character in, well, what about because she's directly related to Wilson Fisk. So if you're bringing Wilson Fisk in, so you're bringing in Wilson Fisk, like I think adopted daughter or whatever. So you're bringing Wilson Fisk in. If you're bringing him in, well, where's Daredevil, right? And if you bring
Mhm.
Daredevil in, are you bringing back Charlie Cox and the whole gang? And that's the rumor. That's the rumor is that these characters from the Daredevil show are in fact going to show up in the Echo spinoff show, and that supposedly that spinoff show will spin off the fourth season of Daredevil, following the the Netflix show. Um, which is a very long and convoluted way of saying maybe we're going to get Daredevil season 4. I don't know, Lottie. What do you think? Is this? Do you think this is likely? And if it is likely, like, is this the right move for them to be making as far as bringing Daredevil into the MCU? Oh, can you hear me?
I
I
mean,
was
yeah,
just
I
saying,
hear
okay.
you. No, I don't know if I'm like the best person to answer this question because I never saw the Daredevil TV show
Oh,
because
how dare you? Oh, and that's it's cool though.
yeah,
It's not
it's just
It's not MCU related.
yeah,
Like,
I don't really. It's not that. It's not like I'm like this super like canon shield person. That's like, oh, I'm not gonna watch something that's not canon. It's like, guys, I'm a busy person. I actually really am a busy person. I'm not going to go and watch something that I feel that I watch that is not going to lead into something else. You know what I mean? This is why I'm sort of upset with Agents of Shield not being canon because I spent all those because literally we were told that this is canon and it's not canon no more. Come on, man, you just pulled the rug right underneath my feet. All those seasons I watched, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like Daredevil. Does he need a movie?
oh no,
Oh no, I don't
I
think
mean, I don't think
Daredevil.
so. The thing about
Yeah, I don't think
Daredevil,
Daredevil needs a movie. But
it would be
I
cool if
feel,
he showed up in a movie though.
yeah, like I feel like Daredevil's first showing should be like in a movie, and then you give him a TV show. I don't know if I feel I like him being off of I would like for him to like show up in like a Spider-Man movie or because something like that where we're like, oh shoot, we see him in a $200 million budget, then we see him in his own TV show. You know what I mean? So sort of like what they did with what's the guy's name with Loki. We seen him in movies, and now we seen him in a TV show. You know what I mean? I would rather see that instead of just another TV show because I don't know. Because do you think people will actually watch this Daredevil TV show?
Oh, if it's on Disney Plus, hell yeah.
Okay.
Here's the thing on Netflix, whatever. It's kind of like okay, what maybe some people will, but if you explicitly tie it to the MCU, hell yeah, people are getting to the point with the MCU stuff that they're just like, I sort of have to watch all this stuff. I want to make sure I know what's going on. That's that's the way things are. Like, I'm not saying that the number of people that watch WandaVision or Falcon and Winter Soldier or Loki is equal to the number of people that went and saw any one particular Marvel movie. I'm not saying that at all, but I am saying that enough people care enough about the MCU that they are like, okay, fine, I'll watch this. You know,
Yeah.
especially if they have time between the movies. We're still at a point where as of now, this year, two Marvel movies have come out and two more are coming out. But before that, no Marvel movies were out, and the itch needed to be scratched. I can tell you right now, the way they're building it up, I do believe that the Disney Plus stuff, a third, to maybe a half of the audience of the movies are going to participate in the Disney Plus stuff, especially when it
Hmm.
starts to spill over. See, when Wanda shows up in Multiverse of and probably Loki, I think is showing up in When they show up, people are gonna be like, "Damn it, I didn't watch that show," and they're gonna go
Yeah,
back
you're
and
right.
watch it. And so, if stuff like that keeps happening, the cross pollination of TV and movies, and you know, rest assured, it's happening. It's in the works. The people are going to be like, especially, and I'll tell you what's really going to drive them. What's going to drive them to Daredevil more is not just being, related to Hawkeye and Echo. If he actually does show up in No Way Home, that's going to be the game changer. And Daredevil season 4 is going to be a given. If he really shows up and puts the costume on, you can write that check right there because that's going to happen. So yeah, people are going to show up for this shit. I absolutely believe it. And Kevin Feige says it, so therefore I believe it. I want this to be true. It'll definitely encourage me to finish watching the Daredevil show on Netflix. My question though is, will it actually be that iteration of Daredevil, or will they just take that cast and make their own, thing? That's same cast, but it's a wholly Marvel Studios thing that really isn't quite related to the Daredevil Netflix thing. I don't know. I can't answer that, but either way, I want it to happen. Whatever it is, I want it to happen. So,
Yep.
so that's our speculation. So let's, you know what? It's time to be serious and take some people to task. Um, so we're gonna take one person to task right now, who is I'm sure she's hearing it all over the place. Maybe she's gonna delete our Twitter or something like that. I don't know. But we were talking. I think we talked. Did we talk earlier in the year? Maybe not on the show, but we about Letitia Wright, aka Shuri. She plays Shuri in Black Panther, and how she sort of got the business when she was posting anti-vaccination and COVID conspiracy shit on her social media. And I think we were basically saying like, hey, you can think whatever you want, but like you're famous and you get paid to be in things. Maybe shut the fuck up, right?
Yeah.
Like just if you may have crazy ideas, but you can have them. Just maybe be quiet if you want to keep getting that check. That's more or less was my stance on it. Um, so I guess somebody, her agents or some, finally were like, okay, enough, stop this shit. You want to get Gina Carano'd? And she's like, no, I like Marvel money. I want to keep making it. And so she pretty much hadn't been saying shit. But suffice it to say, she had expressed doubts, wandering into conspiracy theories about COVID and the vaccine and blah blah blah. That stuff. So now we hear that from someone who's worked with her on the set that she's one of those she's like a proselytizer where she wants to let everyone know what that she thinks about vaccines and all this other shit. She's all anti-vax and whatever uh, at work.
She's a
Like
neckbeard, even
she,
though she doesn't have a one, but she's a
which and
neckbeard.
someone I like someone saying like she in the Marvel universe she plays the smartest person on earth who would definitely be like for the vaccine and working on the vaccine, but in real life she's not. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's ironic, but also they're also just actors aren't meant to be like geniuses. They're people that are able to repeat lines and sort of fake emotion. So it's not like
Yeah.
I'm not expecting her to give me a medical treatise or anything like that. But she's persistent. She's been persistent in this stuff, and even though Disney hadn't really said anything about it in the way they didn't really say anything about it before, you have to think that they're behind the scenes like, hey, enough of this shit. We just want to make a fucking movie and not have to deal with your whatever you got going on. We don't whatever you think about it. Just like keep it to yourself and also follow our vaccine policies. Oh, that's another part of the story. They've sort of kind of worked out Disney sort of worked out their policy for dealing with COVID as far as masking and vaxing and all that other shit. And it's sort of related to like the way some of the unions and stuff have made their rules and all that stuff just to be in line with that. So there's definitely a thing where maybe people are going to have to be like actually be vaccinated if they want to work on these things. So this is all that's what's at play right now. The reason why I wanted to talk about it was not to shit on her because I mean other people can do that just fine. My real question is what the hell does this mean for the character of Shuri in Black Panther and in the MCU going forward? Could her unwillingness to close her fucking mouth, which again she's free to have her opinion, but maybe to pick a better time and place to do it. But her inability to keep her fucking mouth closed about this, is it going to impact one of my favorite characters in the MCU? All right.
And it is.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Ladi? What do you think?
The fact that this chick is a neckbeard is just, I mean, just shut the fuck up. I mean, it's one of those things that is just like, I'm so sick and absolute tired of people forcing their opinions on you. So, guys, I don't probably tell you guys, but my family, me and my family, we own an African and Caribbean store. And one of our guidelines is that we have to wear a mask whenever there are customers in the store. I had one dude come up to me in the store and says, "Why are you wearing a mask?" I am not gonna lie. I looked at him like he was a damn idiot. What do you mean? Why am I wearing a mask? And then he went on this speech about how all this stuff is a conspiracy of the mask. And I'm just like,
Let me just say
oh
before.
my
Let me
god.
say I'm surprised because I'd have been like, "Bitch, get out of my store." Like that'd have been the end. I'm like, I don't want to. We're not having church here. I'm not list. You're not a Jehovah's Witness trying to tell me about your religion. This is my store, and I ain't got time for it. So if you ain't buying nothing, you can get the fuck out. That would be me personally. That's just me.
It was just, and it's like, it bothers me that she's just, because I already know what I can just tell by how dumb she was being earlier this year. I'm pretty sure she's going up to like people during or after scenes like, "Hey, did you get the shot? Oh, by the way, did you know that thing mutates your DNA?"
Yeah.
My
I'm,
God, woman,
I'm like,
it's going.
I could only hope that it would mutate. Can I get some superpowers in this bitch? Like, all you people trying to avoid
Just,
superpowers, I want it.
I just feel like, unfortunately, man, it's going to affect the character. Unfortunately, some way or form, Shuri is not going to be the way that we know. Either they're going to get rid of her character and completely write her off, or they're going to change the actress, which is going to change how she appears in What If, how her voice is going to be, and everything. You know what I mean? Because,
Oh no, they change out the characters. Uh, however, will we move forward with a character that is it's interesting but could be played by anybody else?
oh, yeah, yeah. See, that's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, they just kill off the character, which I hope not, because the character of Shuri is good, but I'm not going to lie. I am going to be a little annoyed seeing her as Shuri, and I'll be like, this dumbass chick. You know what I mean?
It's like
Like,
it's a good thing you look good saying words on off of a page.
yeah,
Yeah, it's I again I other people can drag her for her opinions. I don't have the time nor the desire to randomly yell words at a woman that's not gonna read it.
yeah.
So I don't care about all that stuff. Um, I mean, I care in the sense that she could definitely fuck up the whole production process because of her being a dumbass. And I also, have an issue with, you know, famous and influential people. And I don't even know if you call her influential, but famous and influential people sort of using their powers for stupid.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that. But that
Yeah.
being said, I care about the character of Shuri more than I care about this, the actress that plays her. And I too am concerned that they could just, kill off or sideline Shuri, which sucks because how you sideline the person that's literally going to make the next big, piece of technology in the MCU that everyone freaking needs on Earth, and she was set up as like in a movie that was all about affirmation of black and brown people's kind of agency and power in the world, in a fictional place where the foremost brain in the whole world is a young a teenage African girl, you know that sort of thing where she's sort of she's representing, she's symbolizing something that sometimes seems very elusive in the real world and is kind of a ray of hope, and someone she plays someone that young people can look up to, and then also in real life just be stupid, and and that be also what she portrays. So that sucks, and
Yeah.
I don't like it, but
Mhm.
I think Marvel has plenty of, they're not new to this. They have plenty of capability to quietly recast a side character and bring another person in that does the same job, and everybody be like, "Oh, you're not the main character, so who gives a fuck?" Right? So if Letitia Wright got replaced with some other actress, hey, doesn't bother me. I'm not even kidding. I'm like, I could be perfectly fine with another person coming in and playing that role because I was fine with Rhodey being Don Cheadle after Terrence Howard. So I think it'll be okay. And I was even fine with Edward Norton getting replaced by Mark Ruffalo as Hulk. So I
Yeah.
think we can survive this. I
I
just
think that
don't.
was
What I don't
great
want,
though.
yeah. Well, what I don't want them to do is kill her off or sideline her. I don't want
Yeah.
that at all. So if she can't keep herself to herself, it's fine. Just find somebody new. This it's this is easily solved, and she'll learn a very important lesson in life, which is nobody has to employ you at all. You if they say do things, you can either do it or you can leave, right?
Yeah.
And especially if what they're telling you to do is legal and within their bounds, and you knew about it ahead of time. So maybe think about how much you want that Marvel money. That's all I'm saying. So I think we both should be keeping a close eye on what's going on with her, and I suspect she's going to button it up because because hey, she buttoned it up before. I think she'll button it up. But if not, let's do some fan casting. We'll find another person to do that job. Um, all right. So the last topic I want to talk about is just a follow up to some previous ones about Marvel. Y'all some stingy bitches, and by really it's Disney. Y'all some stingy bitches, but let's say Marvel too. Um, I got a real problem with this. Neil Gaiman was retweeting some stuff, in fact, some other authors sort of chimed in support of what he was talking about he was putting Disney on blast for once again not paying authors their royalties that they're owed on books that they wrote and have contracts for. And this is once again Disney on that bullshit where they like, well, we bought Fox, so we bought all of their, we bought all of the IP that they have rights to or ownership of, and we're going to exploit the hell out of that because that's why we bought them, right? So they're republishing books and shit like that. And then they turn around and be like, yes, we bought those but we don't. We bought the contracts, but we don't have to honor them because the other company that we bought they're the ones that owe you. We don't owe you. And it's some ass backwards, ridiculous, won't hold up in court, but we're so rich, how are you going to sue us kind of logic that's kind of screwing over. And let me say, it's not like it's a huge amount of money. It's just royalties owed on books that they are literally republishing, and they owe money to the people for republishing them. And it's some bullshit. That's my opinion is it is some straight bullshit, and Marvel and Disney should be ashamed of themselves for nickel and diming people like this and not honoring contracts that are signed and that are legal and that up to this point Fox had been honoring. And it's disgraceful for people in an industry who don't already make that great amount of money anyway. Lottie, how big a dicks is Disney being right now?
Let's just be honest. Disney are not just big dicks; they're massive dicks. They've been dicks for a while since they've gotten control of Marvel. They've been doing some shitty stuff left and right, especially this year. They've been doing some really shitty stuff, and it's starting to get to the point that as a fan, I will start getting concerned. You know why I will say that? It's because eventually, yeah, you got Kevin Feige and all this stuff, but eventually, you might have a strike on your hand where comic book writers are just going to stop writing.
Oh, I wish that were true. There's reasons
I know
why that's not true.
I mean, there are reasons why, but it's one of those things that is like, God, man, this is one of the things that is like why Disney is just portrayed in such a bad light. Like, there's a lot of people that, like, I remember when I told you about how Family Guy got bought out, by Disney. And I told everybody that Seth MacFarlane hates Disney. And they're like, why? I'm like, guys, do you not know what Disney does to people?
Yeah.
Seth MacFarlane hates I really think he's going to cancel Family Guy now. Like, I really think the Family Guy is just going to end. And I'm not just the only one who thinks that. Like, a lot of people think Family Guy might be over just because Disney bought it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's just, God, why do they do this? Like, they got the money. Just pay these people. Like, it is just so frustrating that it is somebody like me who's creating a story. It just scares you to see that somebody can just come in and somehow illegally steal your story. Not legally, illegally steal your story. And there's almost nothing you can do about it because they're so rich that they'll push back the date of the court date so far, and you got to pay these lawyers so much money. Because that's really let's just be honest. Most of the stuff when it comes to business justice system is who has the most money, who can last the longest. And this is sort of one of the reasons why I was like, even though Sony's not hurting for no money, but I was like, Sony, yes, fight back Disney. Somebody stick up to these motherfuckers because somebody needs to stop these dudes from swinging their dicks and everybody just falls over for them. No, somebody needs to stand up and say, no, you will not pit me. I'm going to say no. And that's why I was happy that Sony said, no, you are not going to use my character in any way that you want to use. You're going to have to come down and sit to the table, and we're going to have to negotiate. Disney laughed at them, and guess what? Sony said, okay, peace. You know what I mean? And, oh, God, so I just wish sometimes that there was just a way to have the big bully just get kicked in the shin and just fall over sometimes, because this is just disgusting. Like, this is like really is like, because the other things that we talked about they were legally in the right. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But it was morally wrong. This time they are absolutely doing illegal. They are straight up robbing people right now,
Yeah.
not paying them, being illegal, and getting away with it, and it's just disgusting.
Yeah, and it's just because the people who are getting screwed. As always, if you ever want to know, like, well, you won't ever want to wonder about like why I personally believe in like extremely strong regulations on companies and like or corporations like this. Is because if you don't have that, little guys don't have much in the way of recourse, even when they are legally correct. It costs money to litigate. It costs money to bring these. All they can do is ask and hope that they'll be nice, because what they're asking for is not a ton of money. It's such a small amount of money that litigating over it is almost literally not worth the effort. And so the best that they have is to hope that we and other people like us put pressure on Disney to like do the right thing. I just still think it's ridiculous, and that Disney persists in this stupid ass argument that when you buy a company, you buy only their assets and none of their liabilities. That is not at all the way
Yeah.
acquisition of a company works. And
Yep.
so, but they're persisting in this, and they're playing fucking games with people's lives. And I would love, dearly, I know it's not going to happen because they're a big company and they got big friends in the government, but I would love for a regulatory body to take them to task for this shit and fine them until they get it right. Because, this is again, this is a reflection of their corporate culture, what they think about people, and people trying to pad their bonuses by screwing some people out of thousands of dollars rather than. And if they're going to sit here and try to shit on Scarlett Johansson, they're definitely going to shit on rando comic writer that made something 30 years ago.
Yep.
That's, I mean, I don't want to say fuck them to Disney, but like for real, fuck them when it comes to this. They need to get it right. Fuck that noise. I like what Disney puts out, but liking what they put out doesn't mean I like the way they act. So,
Yep.
get it together, Disney. That's all I'm saying. So, all right, that was a long, long list of things to talk about. I'm sure we missed some things. I mean, even though that was a gigantic list of a gigantic list of news, but if we did miss some things, you know what you can do. You can get down to the comments section, leave a comment, and let us know. Also, you can hit us up, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com or at supernotfunnys1 on Twitter, and we can chop it up, and maybe we'll feature whatever you're asking about on the next show. All right, news down. Let's get to the main topic. And the main topic is Marvel's What If Episode 9, the season finale, called What If the Watcher Broke His Oath? And we're calling it Multiverse Avengers Assemble. Let me see if I do it. Let me see if I can do it like Cap. Multiverse Avengers Assemble. Did you hear? Did you hear? It's so episode 9. Our quick impressions before we start talking about spoilers. Ladi, be my guest and go first.
Okay, this might be a little bit hot takey, or some people might not like this, but I feel like this episode did not live up to the hype. I liked it now. Don't get me wrong, liked it. But I feel like it didn't live up to the hype that the last episode was bringing into it. It was good, but it was, in my opinion, not what I was expecting for the season finale. It was good. I loved there was the good action. The action was appealing. It's just I just felt like there was something missing from the episode. You know what I mean? And I mean, it is asking a lot because the episodes are only 30 minutes, but I just felt like there was something missing from that episode. There's
Hmm.
something missing.
But overall, you're a fan of it. Was it a what? In your opinion, was it a good was it a good wrap up of the season? And did
Yeah,
it
I mean,
what? Yeah.
I felt like it did its job. I felt like the TV the I mean yeah the TV show did its job. The final episode did its job. It's just I wish it had more to it. Like I'll explain more in the spoilers, but wish it was just a little bit more.
Hmm.
You know.
Right. Yeah. You know what? I was a really big fan of this episode, in the same way that I would be a really big fan. I'm a really big fan of the last 30 minutes of Avengers Endgame, which isn't to say I'm not a big fan of the rest of them, but like that's the part of the movie that you've literally been watching 20 some odd movies to get to, right? And so, in a way, I think that this episode was a whole lot of that. It's a whole lot of, you know, fast forwarding to the last part of the movie and watching the bad guy get beat up. And I think to that effect, and actually, and I'm being a little unfair there. That's the last like 10, 15 minutes of the episode. But kind of the gathering of heroes and everything that went on beforehand was extremely entertaining, and I feel like the writers really I had a good idea of all the characters that they brought in, all of the multiversal Avengers that they brought in, and knew exactly who they were going to be, and everything played out with a good understanding of how these characters were actually going to act. Um, I did really feel the shortness of the episode. Like 30 minutes is not a lot of time to be telling, even to be telling a part, what's essentially a part two of a story. You still basically come down to an hour to tell this story. So it felt very much like they were taking liberties with what you should know and understand about what's going on. And then also one other thing, I guess a criticism of mine is the pew pew nature of kind of the fight at the end, which I still
Yeah.
liked. I liked it a lot, but there's still Marvel has a problem, I think, with showing how magic works without it just basically being shooting magic lasers at people.
Yeah.
Um, but that said, it's there's a lot of really funny shit going on in this episode. A lot of really good action. Um, Characters I really like seeing them again, and then just kind of it pays everything off when it's all said and done. Everything's kind of paid off, and there's nice little, you know, I guess post credit sort of scenes that really kind of give you a good idea of what was won or lost. So I enjoyed the hell out of it. I think it was a great season finale. It makes me really excited for season two, and I think that Disney should be very proud of what Marvel Studios have done for their first bit of animation, and I look forward to seeing more animation from them. So that's all I'm going to say without spoiling anything. And so, if you guys have not seen this episode, well, first of all, what are you doing here? You know, this is what we're talking about. Get on over there and watch that episode and come back and we'll compare notes, if you will, and see what we have to say about what went on in this episode. So, you have been warned. We're going to talk about spoilers right now. Lottie, where do we begin? First of all, I'm gonna give you all your credit. You were right about Killmonger showing up. You were absolutely
Yeah.
right about that. Um, you told me you texted me. You were like, I called it. So I want to know, what were you saying you called?
So I called two things in this episode. I knew Killmonger was going. They're going to pick Killmonger because of his intelligence, and also,
Also, because
I
the Watcher totally knew he was going to act the way he did. So he's like,
yeah,
I'm accounting for this.
and I also called that Steve Rogers and her and the
And Captain
Peggy
Carter.
Carter,
Hmm.
Captain Carter universe is the Winter Soldier. I called it. I just knew it. I was like, he has to be the Winter Soldier because if there is a Captain America, there has to be a Winter Soldier, and there's no way they're going to use Bucky. The next best asset, because remember in Steve's universe, in the one that we know, the next best asset was Bucky. But in Captain Carter, the next best asset is
Steve
Steve.
Rogers.
So
Yeah.
I was like, he has to be the Winter Soldier. So I was like, oh yeah, I already kind of guessed that after the remember we talked about in the first episode. I'm like, he's gonna be the Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, hey, you called it completely. And I'd forgotten about that. And I was like, what the hell? Why is Steve in that thing? Is his corpse in there? But I doubt that they have his corpse in there. They do have the Hydra Stomper. So as I understand, we are going to get a follow up to that episode in season 2, which seems really cool. Um, Man, I want to say there wasn't a lot that went on. There was a lot of shooting and everything. I am amazed at how badass Sorcerer Supreme Strange is. What a badass motherfucker. Let's
Yeah.
um so because remember we saw in the previous episode, Ultron just ate a whole galaxy. He's just like
Yeah.
he looking like Galactus. And
Yeah.
in this one, like Strange Supreme is fighting a dude with all of the Infinity Stones without blinking, and
See,
he's confident that he can actually do something.
see, okay, here is one of my things real quick. I feel like they nerfed him a bit in this episode. They nerfed Ultron just a bit to where he went from this undeniable force to just a very powerful guy with the Infinity Stones. Because I felt like he was dumb in this episode. Did you
Oh
get
my
that
god!
feeling?
Oh my
Like,
god! There's a bunch of dumb in this episode. Like
like,
as much as I love this episode, there's a lot of dumb in this episode.
like I felt like he was this is like when I'm watching the episode, I'm like, this feels like if Thanos won at the end. Like it didn't feel like this was the ultra. Like it literally like because I rewatched before I watched that episode. I rewatched the episode before, and I was like, these are two completely different characters.
hmm
Because that Ultron would have stomped everybody except what's his name? Like
the,
the Watcher would have gotten involved. The Watcher didn't even do nothing. He just sat back and just snapped his fingers at the end. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
hmm
And that's why I was just like, Ultron's kind of dumb in this episode, but I do give it to Strange Supreme because that's another thing I called. I told you that too in the episode. I was like, I believe Strange Supreme can go toe to toe with him because Strange Supreme may not be multiversal, but he's definitely universal. He's definitely at that level because he was able to survive the universe ending. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I knew he was going to be able to fight. Um, what's his name? Definitely on his level. So that's why Ultron, and maybe that's why Ultron started acting dumb because he didn't know what to do. Because because remember, Ultron tried to blow up the planet like how he always does, and Strange Supreme literally just ate it. He was like,
Well,
"This is the best you can do."
what a fucking what a baller move! Like, is that the biggest ball? Like, he's like, I'm gonna blow up a whole solar. Oh, I don't think so. It tastes good. Can I have some more? Like, and Strange absorbed that, so he got more
Yeah,
powerful off of that. I was like,
yeah,
man, well, you talk about a big brain move. This is the thing is, I get what you're saying because I'm like, Ultron, you're smarter than literally everybody in this whole fight. How are you just shooting laser? Why are you shooting Infinity Gauntlet lasers at people? You can
yeah,
snap your fingers and make things disappear or reappear somewhere else or turn into anything. Like, he has zero imagination, which I suppose would be in line with an AI. Not having a ton of imagination about what to do with the Infinity Stones. It still was just kind of weird to me. I'm like, bitch, you are the most powerful person on this plane of reality. Why are you letting people punch you? It
yeah.
was,
It just felt like this is what I thought was going to happen. I thought they were going to get the Infinity Stones from their universes and basically fuse it to like basically have a bunch of Infinity Stone wielders fighting him. That's what I thought
Yeah.
was going to happen, or something close to it, where the Watcher was going to give them some ultra ability. Really, all it really was that what's his name put a protection spell on them. Because
Yeah.
let's be honest, let's just really 100% be honest. If if Ultra Strange was not in this episode, they will get absolute no.
They'd annihilate
He
it,
was
yeah.
he's the only reason why they. I mean, of course, there was that nice part with Peggy and
And
Black Widow.
mhm.
So where they put what's that dude's name inside of him, Zoloft, and but let's be honest, this name was he would like carrying the team is not the word, is not the right phrase. That man was literally, they were literally in his pockets.
You know what? He had to put the team on his back.
On his back though. He had to put the team on his back though. He was I'm like, golly. And even like at that point where Strange, I mean, what's that guy's name? What's the name was just shooting that big massive laser at them. I feel like Strange could have easily deflected it or moved out of the way, but he's worried about keeping the protection spell up on them as well.
Right.
And plus he's not trying to lose control, because I'll be honest with you, Strange Supreme, I knew he could fuck up.
He went ham. He did go ham. You saw him do his Schumer Gorath thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, he went ham. Let's not. I just, there's parts in this episode I'm just like, why are y'all doing it this way? This again, I want to reiterate, I really liked this episode. I thought it was really fun, but there were parts where I was just like, so you're just going for one Infinity Stone? How about all of them? Why don't we try to get all of them?
Like what? And this is one of the things I didn't like about the episode. They did a very poor job of explaining what was going on. Why do they need the Soul Stone?
Well, you see, that's the good thing is there actually makes a ton of sense if you think about it. And the problem is they didn't spell it out there like we need the Soul Stone. They need the Soul Stone because without the Soul Stone, Ultron is not as effective an AI without it. Remember, Vision without the Soul Stone is just a robot, right?
Well, the Mind Stone. That's the Mind Stone.
No, is it the Mind Stone? Which one's the Soul
It's the Mind Stone. The Soul Stone is the one that remember the orange one? The one that you had to sacrifice a living being to get?
Oh, yeah. Well, why did they need the Soul Stone?
Yeah, that's why I was like, that's why it didn't make any sense. Like, of all the stones, I thought it would be the Reality Stone, because we know for a fact in the comic book, the Reality Stone can destroy the other stones. So that's why I was just like, why the Soul Stone? Because he's not immortal, but he's a robot, But I'm like, he's a robot. Like, it didn't make it. They literally did. They did a terrible job of telling us, explaining what was going on. Because, like, I thought my mind was going to, they need one Infinity Stone. So I was like, oh, it's the Reality Stone. Oh, we need the Soul Stone. Why? Really, the Soul Stone. Really, the only thing the Soul Stone gives you is immortality. And it gives you supremacy over life and death. But the thing about it is, who gives a fuck about that? Because with the other stones, you can still blow up fucking planets.
Yeah. I think I get what you're saying. The fact that it's the control over life and death is probably it. It's just,
but he's a robot, though.
Yeah. It was just, it was just like, I just was constantly thinking, why don't you motherfuckers just pick up the damn stone? Like, what are y'all doing? Stop.
Oh yeah,
pick it up, or if you can send T'Challa in to get one, why don't you send him in to get as many as possible? So, which by the way, that was a badass bit of Sticky Fingers. He's definitely pretty badass. I loved seeing the Superior Star-Lord doing his thing, and hearing Chad Boseman's last thing was awesome.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
So here's a real quick question. So is Iron Man and Gamora together now or something?
That I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was gonna say there's a character in this that is different, like that we don't know. That's sort of a Deus Ex Machina. And it's not fair to call her that, but you have Gamora, who apparently killed Thanos and ended the Infinity War and all this other stuff. And she and Tony are working together, and they're getting an Infinity Gauntlet, all this other stuff that we saw. And you're like, well, this is a weird character to just show up at the last possible second. And some people kind of knocked it for that, and I'm just like, I'm fine with that. I would have been fine if there was a brand new character we've never seen before that was introduced. But I understand why they put in characters we know, because that's the point of What If. But apparently, this character was supposed to be in an episode this season that explains all of that, but COVID, and so they never finished that episode, and therefore, we're going to see it next season. So, yeah, there's a lot of I know I liked this ultimate. I don't want to call it Ultimate Gamora, but Ultimate Gamora. I liked her and what she brought to the table. I did think that little bit of technology was a kind of fucking weird. A weird. What did they call it?
The
Ins-
Stone Smasher.
yeah, something like that.
It sounded extremely
And she's like,
sexual.
well, the funny thing, they were like, it was only supposed to work for the stones in my universe. I'm like, that sounds like some bullshit cop out
Yeah,
reason to
yeah,
have.
that sounded. Yeah, that sounded. Oh my
That
god!
shit
When
sounds
I
fake.
saw that, I was like, "This sounds like some anime type bullshit of where they beat. You know how in anime they'll find a move to beat the main villain, and they're like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, the main
and
villain's gone." The main villain's like, "Oh,
T'Challa
I'm
even
still
yeah,
alive."
T'Challa even said this doesn't feel like it's over, and I'm like, it's clearly not over. There's 10 minutes left in this episode. but I was thinking to myself like, this is y'all's reason. Y'all couldn't, because the thing wasn't made to. What's the difference? Like there's, it's not obvious that there's an actual difference between the Infinity Stones. If there was such a difference, would that have affected Endgame at all? I don't know. It's
I mean, this the reason why I kind of call BS on that whole thing of the Infinity Stones being different. If the Infinity Stones will be different, they will either be different colors or they will have completely different abilities. They're all the damn same. You
mhm,
know what I mean? It's like like let's just be honest. The only thing that really like from what we've seen in Marvel What If, the only thing that changes in Marvel What If is the choices that are made. We're not seeing molecular differences in people. We're not
yeah,
seeing a black Tony Stark. We're seeing Tony Stark in every single universe. It's just a decision was made that altered the timeline. That's all
right.
it is. So that's why it's like the Infinity Stones being different. If that was true, then Endgame would not have worked. That's why I was like, stop the BS. Just use this anime cop out type shit.
Yeah, they just needed that one last. Oh, let's do one more thing to beat him, which I loved. I did love that kind of the 1-2 punch of Natasha and Peggy doing their thing. I actually really loved how Natasha and Peggy's world, that's like her bestie, you know, and then she automatically became besties with this Natasha from a terrible world, and they worked together seamlessly to upload Arnim Zola to into Ultron. It was. I mean, I thought it was super. That was like the coolest shit, right? And and they both, they did their thing and then landed, and everything was cool. But something that I've been thinking, like, isn't this going to be a problem if Arnim Zola has the Infinity Gauntlet?
Yeah.
Isn't that a problem? And yes, it absolutely was a problem. But and also, speaking of problems, you said they were gonna have Killmonger, and I was like, why would they have that motherfucker? He's a villain. He's clearly a villain. Why would he choose him? And god dang it, if that Watcher isn't a devious man, like, or whatever being, because I was just like, there's no way you can trust Eric Killmonger. You can't, even with the fate of the universe, you can't trust him. And we were right. I mean, when it came down to it,
Yeah.
he was fighting, but then he was like, ooh, unlimited power. Don't mind if I do. This fits just like a glove. It's not OJ's glove. It fits perfectly. Uh, and And then you know what the fucked up thing about Eric Killmonger is? He believes his own bullshit. I
But
absolutely think he believes his own bullshit because he's sitting up here trying to talk heroic people into doing something not heroic. Like what? In what way does that work?
and, and then here's another thing. How was he going to be able to do what he was going to be able to do when he doesn't have the Mind Stone? Because the Mind Stone was still in Ultron's head. So I was just like, "What are you about to do, homeboy?" I was like, "What you going to do? Send another blast that fucking what's the name can just eat and just spit back at you?"
Yeah, it was.
Like,
It was it was very strange and but it also showed kind of like the what I would call the missed opportunity of Eric Killmonger because
yeah, because I
dude's
did
a
not like
genius.
that.
Well, I mean, dude's a
Yeah,
genius. Dude's
yeah,
clearly a genius. He tinkered with this is the same one who killed Tony Stark and all that other stuff. He tinkered with the damn Ultron Sentry head and then was able to essentially make it do what he wanted. I'm like this motherfucker might be Shuri in terms of
yeah. He's a
his
genius.
skill. I mean, I doubt it because he's not that level, but he's close. And I was just like, man, this guy is like, what a lost opportunity for the MCU because he absolutely is. He's got all the skills. It's too bad that he's power hungry and hates the world for fucking with his life, and he can't even put that shit up long enough to like, finish dealing with Ultron. And thanks to him, he gets to be in an everlasting snow globe with
Mhm.
with someone who he deserves to be in there forever with Arnim Zola. Um,
Yeah,
that shit was
and
crazy.
and I like how one thing I do like how in the end he get everybody has purpose now because now basically he gave what's his name a right something to do with his life
Yeah,
for the
the
rest.
Watcher's like, hey, the rest of you, get the fuck back to your reality. Especially you, Strange Supreme. Go back to your hole. And also, while you're doing it, do me a solid and like keep be a jailer for these guys.
But
Don't.
to be honest with you, I don't think that's just what Strange Supreme is just going to do. I really think he's going to have him sort of like helping him do other stuff. You know what I mean? Because I feel like this is probably what's going to lead to Strange Supreme to basically become like an inner like a multiversal prison warden.
Yeah, that I mean that could be that. They'd have to expand that little pocket universe, but it's a pocket universe within a pocket universe. Um, which I have to say that must be very boring for him. To sit in that little dark purple gym all the time, looking at these two motherfuckers that will never finish their fight. Um, but that was that was a very elegant solution. I also liked the Watcher's ideas because you know what the Watcher is very much. I think he and Strange Supreme get along well for a reason. Even though that Strange never went through Infinity War and Endgame,
Yeah.
but still, he's of the same mindset. Um, where he looks at his job as kind of a I can see many things. I can see so many possibilities. So he essentially, I feel like he essentially was just like, what's the best way to do this? And he came up with some of the dumbest tools for the job. Well, maybe the dumbest tool for the job, which was Party Bro Thor. And you have to. I'm asking. I'm like, you got so many Thors to choose from across the multiverse. This is your Thor. This is your Thor right here. He's not even the most powerful Thor. Why this Thor? But I suspect that just like Doctor Strange, when he said we only have one way to win this, I think this is probably the only one way and only one configuration to win this particular uh, this particular fight. And so you kind of see the Watcher when he gets his hands dirty. He's kind of he's kind of the chess master, sort of setting everything up and just kind of letting it play itself out, but in a way he can foresee. So
And
it,
also, I'm gonna say this: Disney, you are dirty Disney, MCU, you are dirty. Absolutely dirty. You know what I'm talking about.
What's
You
what?
brought that Black Widow into that universe. Fuck that universe. Put it in our universe, damn it. Fuck that universe.
What?
Come
You
on,
know that
man.
universe? Look,
Man, fuck them.
Loki was, and the Asgardians were trying to like straight up, and then she just drop kicked his bitch ass and put the little mind stone on him. That was look. She didn't have any. She literally was the last person alive from her universe,
Hmm.
and she put her into a place where she would be needed, and
Yeah.
I actually think it's pretty awesome. Like it made me want to be like, wow, I wonder what's going to happen with this universe, now that they've beaten the Asgardians. Like it was pretty clear, without Loki they weren't going to be winning. So I thought that was, and in fact, I'll say this: the most of the endings are more or less were on point to me. I like that one. I liked Peggy getting to uh, go back to her time, and then she's just like, it's like, oh, Natasha, I miss you, um, and I loved, I, I love and hate this. I loved Star Lord, the superior Star Lord, going back and he with the Ravagers to defeat Ego before he
And,
could, take, and then showing Peter Quill how to use one of the blasters, and it makes me think that, and I like to think, because we'll never see it, but I like to think that the superior Star Lord recruited the not superior Star Lord into the Ravagers and showed him the universe and turned him into a better man than the Peter Quill we got in the MCU.
he
I
is. What do you mean? What do you mean? He is. He is going to do that.
Yeah, I'd like to think that that's what happens. That's the happy ending. That once again, the superior Star Lord T'Challa, he's the one that does the most with his existence, and I love that idea. To me, that's my favorite idea coming out of this episode. Obviously, in Wakanda, aware with Killmonger out of the way, they'll undo all of the damage he does as the Black Panther and King of Wakanda. And you know, once again, dude bro Thor, he gets to go back and be with his lady. So I mean, all's well that ends well. Except my only thing is, who did he? I mean, this is the lingering question. I hope they answer in the next season. Who did the Watcher make his oath to? And are they going to have a problem with what happened? I have some thoughts about who the oath may have been made to, but I don't know for sure. I was thinking, could he who remains be the person he made the oath to? That's just saying, could he be? So I don't know what it.
He
Yeah,
who man.
he who remains from. I'm just saying, if there's somebody, or is it eternity, or is it the living tribunal? Who did he make his oath to, and are they going to come see about it? So these are all big questions. I mean, big questions that aren't going to be answered in this episode, but there's lots of promise for what if going forward into the future. As I said before, I think it's a triumph. I think it's a great showing for Marvel animation. It's a good indication of quality and direction going into the future, and just entertaining. I will absolutely watch this again, and I'm really hoping that some of the stuff we saw in What If actually trickles into the MCU properly, especially because there's going to be some multiversal shenanigans in Spider-Man: No Way Home, and also in the Multiverse of Madness. So
Like I said, it was a I enjoyed the episode for what it is. It's just I don't know. I whenever I think of like epic final battles, I think of like really. I feel like the stakes were high in this. Don't get me wrong, the stakes were high. I just like my final villains not to go down like a dumb person. You know what I mean? He went down so stupidly, and then Zoloff took him out so easily too, and it was just like, I don't know about this one now.
Yeah, they beefed him up only just like to neuter him at the end. So
Like I was expecting like them to hit him with it, and like the arrow in the very beginning, and like Zoloff can't do anything, and they have to weaken him so Zoloff could get to him. That's what I thought was going to happen. I didn't think as soon as they hit him with the damn thing, it's over. I was just like, man,
like there was no he
why did they do this shit in the first place?
Yeah,
They literally, this whole episode was a waste of time. Literally, this whole episode was a waste of time. They could have won with just shooting him in the very beginning of the whole episode.
that USB arrow never misses, and it never has corrupted sectors. So
That's just wow. That's the only thing that kind of like I was just like, nah, my final villain shouldn't go down like that.
yeah, I just kind of decided to be like, you know what, I'm just gonna roll with it. That was my whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll with this. I mean, Doctor Strange is pew pewing this guy with magic, so I guess I can be okay with the USB arrow uh, being shot at the most weird time. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right. So I guess those are our thoughts on What If Episode 9. And so, what did you guys think about this episode? And what did you think about our thoughts? Get down to the comments section. Let us know what you're thinking. Or you can hit us up, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com, or at supernotfunnys1 on Twitter. And we'll chop it up about what if. Let's talk about what's going to come into the future with this series. And hey, while you're in the clicking mood, get down to that subscriber button. Hit that. Join the Super Not Funny Show family. And of course, you can always hit the notification bell to let you know when we drop new content. And hey, the Super Not Funny Show, it cannot function without the man on the other end of the line, my good friend Ladi. And so, Ladi, why don't you let them know where they can reach you on social media?
Oh man, you could always reach me at my Instagram, Anukinihun. It is ANUKINIHUN. Again, it's ANUKINIHUN. I upload different pictures of characters that I'm working on in my video game. It is spooky season, so I'm gonna start doing some uploads of some horror characters. I already uploaded one. I'm gonna do some more. And then, of course, you can always find me on my YouTube channel, KeeneyHoon25, which I am now streaming on, by the way. You're going to see me playing my blind right now. I have 2 parts of my blind playthrough of Alan Wake. Check it out. I'm literally screaming sometimes in that thing, because I'm not lying. That just catches me off guard. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna. It's hot. It's the spooky season. It's October, so I'm gonna be streaming a lot of horror games on my YouTube channel. So definitely check it out. Pretty sure you'll enjoy it. So yeah, give it a watch.
Absolutely. Go over there. Like, subscribe, view, do all that good stuff. Show some love to Ladi. All right, all you Fabricants and Fleshbags, thanks for joining us on this episode. Come back next week. We are going to be talking about a new show. Not a new show. It's not new, but it's new to us. We're going to be talking about the Harley Quinn animated series from HBO Max. That's right. We're going to give DC some love and kind of really dive deep into that show. And that's going to be our main topic next week. Come back and join us for that. Until then, I have been Mole Poupée, your resident fabricant and comment extraordinaire on all things pop culture. And I'm joined by the anime expert, video game designer, and of course, lover of all things superhero. That's Ladi. Yep. And we'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.
Peace.